I'm playing for both of us, Tashi. I think maybe we're disturbed by the fact that she could have been into someone like me.
When we were teenagers.
When we were teenagers.
Hey, I love you.
I know. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Big Ticket interview for Challengers. I'm Jacqueline. Hello, welcome.
Hello.
I think the best thing about this, you called it Codependency, the movie.
Yes.
I want you to explain this a little bit better.
Well, you've seen it.
Yes, I saw it a long time ago. I've had this in my brain for a year.
Right, so I'm sure it resonated.
Yes.
Codependency, the movie, I say that because, honestly, all these characters are searching for something out of life that they can't get on their own. Yeah. And ultimately ties them to each other. And I think that can be dangerous, it can be toxic, it can be many things. And we watch that kind of play out in their life. We watch them avoid dealing with their own pain or dealing with their own, for lack of a better word, bullshit. and in order to cover for that, they use each other and they lean on each other or seek qualities out of each other that they don't possess naturally themselves. And I don't know, that's where the codependency stuff starts going. I really don't think they can just be alone.
I mean, it really is a love triangle and everything about it. And it's the one thing that doesn't go with the tennis allegory because it is kind of just two people, but maybe, she's the audience, which is the third part of tennis. I would love for y'all to, and I'd start with you, Josh, expand on how tennis is such, again, about the bigger themes in this movie, like being up against each other, ambition, following your dreams. And it's really kind of the perfect setting for it.
Yeah, it's so good. It's like the perfect metaphor for their relationship. I also think, the dialogue, the way the dialogue's written, the way Luca directed it, it feels like some of those scenes, me and Z or Z and Mike are just so back and forth. And what was interesting, we've talked about a few times, when you're tennis players that have talked about being on the court before have talked about being very isolated on one side of the court, and it's quite a lonely profession. And there were moments in some of these scenes where you feel so isolated and you feel very removed. And there's different moments in this film where Art feels very alone, or Tashi feels very alone, or Patrick feels very alone. And then really at the end, with this the challenger that goes through the film, I feel like they're all just reaching for each other and trying to be brought back together. So it was the perfect setting. It wouldn't work with baseball, would it?
No.
It wouldn't quite work.
Not so terrible. Why would you do that to this lovely film? No, that's great. Actually, I love, too, that y'all had an intense rehearsal period and got to do tennis camp and a little bit of actor rehearsal. Mike, I'd like to ask you, in that time, what was maybe the most fun, most challenging part of it? Because I know Luca loves to do movie nights as part of it sometimes too, and he likes to be maybe watch this or listen to this. What would you recall was sort of the big takeaway from those 6 to 8 weeks you guys got before?
I think the biggest takeaway, honestly, was, we all went through a serious physical transformation. So that was it was 4 hours of working out every day. 2 hours of hitting tennis, and then we'd work out with Brad Gilbert, who's Andre Agassi's coach, and then we would work out with the amazing Brian Dew, and he would just whip us into shape and kind of be pretty brutal to us in ways. But that was a very serious part of it. Probably the best part about it was just the ability to just sit down with your co-stars, your coworkers, and just get to know them as people before you actually just say action. And that was a really, and we were able to kind of get some of the scenes loosely up on their feet a little bit and kind of just feel it out in terms, and we were able to make shifts and changes to the script as needed as well during that time. So it was really kind of informative in terms of what I think ultimately the main goal, what we wanted to accomplish. And it kind of set up a nice foundation for all of us to just, before we're actually just going in and jumping in and doing it.
I will say it was really nice to have Justin there.
It was, it's amazing to have the
Because all of us could then go, even Luca, all of us could be what did you mean by this?
Yeah.
What is this?
And we
what's going on
did,
here?
like, you know, and I don't know, like Josh and me, we have done a lot of theater in the past, and so that's not abnormal for that kind of a
I
process.
saw you in Dear in Heaven Hansen.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
So did I. Opening night. What's up?
Wow, look at you. It was
I was
so
shooting
good.
Greatest Showman.
But
Yeah. Keep going. I didn't want to.
no, but I mean, and for that we had like Stephen Levinson who wrote the book for that throughout that entire process, and so being able to have the writer in there, and like for West Side, I had Tony Kushner on set all the time, and so having the ability to have those writers and those brains there, I'm able to go there as the actor and question to the point of nauseum, and makes them annoyed. But it helps me so much. And it helps all the actors just to be able to kind of embody what needs to get done.
Oh, I want to know the secrets from the writer. Did the writer tell you something that I didn't get to see that's like in the backstory of any of these characters? You got a good little gem?
The only thing, well, as we were talking just now, the thing that came to mind was that, you know, like the tournament tour is called the ATP. And if you look at our names, Art, Tashi, Patrick.
Oh, that is so fire.
I actually don't know if
If you're making that up, or
I don't
that's
know.
true?
I don't know if that was
no, that's
intentional.
canon.
No, you don't?
I don't know if it was intentional, but it actually just came to my mind, and I wonder if Justin.
Did that on purpose?
Yeah, I do.
I'm making that canon.
I'm-
That's my
yeah.
head canon.
It
right?
happened already.
Oh, I love that so much. The other thing I was actually going to talk about too is the fact that this is also as actors. I know you guys have said you're not similar to your character, especially I think all of y'all have said you're just not like the way that they are. But there is something about following your dream as actors that I think you all can kind of relate to. Like challengers, like doing one of those is like going on the audition process. Did you like feel or think back to like those days when you're thinking about like your character in particular? Like I feel, yeah, it must be like almost too close to it. Maybe not. I don't know. Did it make
we
it?
talked a lot about that. There's a kind of there is a similarity in the sense that, you know, anyone who has a passion when they're younger, that's sort of, you know, whether it's for us acting or whatever it is, at some point, if you're lucky enough, as we've been, it becomes your career and your job. And then there's this really difficult conflict of interest, which is, on the one hand, this is my personal love and my personal passion, and now I share it with lots of people and get paid for it and have to leave my family and friends to do it, and all these things that go alongside. And so you kind of fall in and out of love with it at different stages in your career, and I think that's true of certainly Art and Patrick and, of course, Tashi as well. And so I think that was one big sort of crossover, which I think we all explored when we were doing the film.
And I'm going to say nice with Vogue, but I think there was something that you said in that interview that probably relates to Tashi too, which is this whole idea of having like family behind you. And like, I love that about your characters. I felt that was such great, I don't know, like life imitating art, the way she's all about that. Did you draw into that a little bit? Because she does feel the same.
For sure. I think I remember there was like an early note that I had about Tashi, and based off her background and the ways in which I connected to her, because originally it was written that like they had a nanny, and I was like, that would be her mother.
Yeah.
You know, like she wouldn't have. I don't think she'd be the kind of woman to do that. I think she would have her mother or her father. Like her family is clearly very present in her life, and it felt like that would be who she would trust her kid to, you know, while she's coaching, while she's working. And I think that you see those moments of tenderness, right? Yeah. While she is very harsh and abrasive sometimes, we see those moments of tenderness with her family, with her child, you know. And so it's not all, you can see she's trying to hold something together, or an illusion of something together, which I empathized with and I saw in her, and yeah, so there's little things like that.
Oh, I love the mom touch. Now that I think about that too, I was like, yeah, this absolutely fits, but that did feel just a little slightly different than what you'd think off the top of your head. Yeah, that's producers. That brings me to my next question though. As producer, I know you said that you really loved how you got to shape the story. Was there one other particular ad that you got to bring in as the producer side that you're really particularly proud of on this one?
I think many things. I mean, I'm grateful for the space to be like able to do those things. I was excited because we had, you know, great hair and makeup teams. I think they had their hair and makeup team that Luca brought, and I also brought mine as well. and that was exciting for me, because I don't know. I think it's important. And what else? I think I was going around doing a lot of like behind the scenes videotaping. And I was like, I want to do something with this. I just need help. And so we have Anthony, who's somewhere around here.
Are we gonna get like behind the scenes video that you directed?
Well, I wouldn't say I directed anything. He's put it together in a beautiful way. He just took a lot of the footage that I had mixed with footage that he took while we were on set, and have like kind of created these beautiful little like moments and vignettes of each of the characters, and that's been really fun. And there's just different things. I mean, the intimacy coordinator, ma'am, who's fantastic, who I got to work with on Euphoria. There's lots of different things. So yeah, I mean, I hope to bring myself and other creatives that I get the opportunity to work with into the fold as well with me, and watch them shine and them do their own thing as well in the process. But yeah, I mean, there's a few little things.
Also, shout out to the greatest umpire ever, because like I would say that's a touch between you and Luca, but
Yes.
I thought that was like
that was purely cast by Darnell. Was cast by Luca.
Yeah.
He asked me to ask him if he would be comfortable. Like he was like, "Would you be okay asking Darnell if he would want to do this?" I feel that he has the spirit of truth and justice. And so I went to Darnell and I was like, "I have a question to ask you."
I love this so much.
He was so good.
He was
I was so
brilliant.
good. He opens the movie in such of like it says where it is. It has the vibes of the whole thing. Oh,
He went to umpire school.
He went to. Okay,
He had to do
well,
like umpire class.
Really?
Yeah, so he could know what he was talking about.
I want to talk about the final tennis match. There's two was I'm saving for the end. The final tennis match, it's epic. It's everything. It's I can only imagine setting up for it. You, sir, I was like watching your tennis out there. There was like you put in some tennis work for that one. So I'd love for both of you to talk about that day. But you in particular, I was watching them serves. Like you were putting it out there on that one.
Well, we
as a
all-
former tennis player, though,
Yeah.
I will say everybody's great.
You played tennis.
He is legit.
Yes, I did.
Legit,
I did
yeah.
play tennis. So
Well,
yeah.
I had a leg up.
Look at
on
him.
the
Look at him.
serve.
Yeah,
He's got,
he
you
does
got a
know
real
how to
tennis
do
player
it.
I got a
telling
real
you you're
tennis
the
player
best.
telling you like I saw the serve, sir.
When I found out I got the job, I was in Ohio.
I know.
And I immediately, like, whenever I get excited about a project, I just dive right in. And I kind of put everything else to the side, and like I am like a racehorse in a way. And I was in Ohio. I called my friend Julie, who was a personal trainer, and she immediately started kicking my ass. And the studio was kind enough, Brad was kind enough to find people in Ohio that would train me. I trained with, I played next to professional tennis players, and they kicked my ass. And I just got my ass beat for 6 weeks before we actually started the actual ass beating. And then we did an additional 6 weeks of getting...
Some more ass beating.
Yeah.
It's fine.
And so but we all did that, and it was just, you know, that training and that regiment and sticking in with that hard work.
I'm so glad you did. And again, everyone was great in it, but he knows though. You know that you were like they know.
It's just
Look at him. Oh, he's smiling.
it's just
knows.
work, and that's true across the board. And like, you know, whenever I
just wants
try
to
to
make us feel
approach
less bad
any
about it.
role, it's just that's it. You know, you just do the work.
All right, I've kept this very professional, but for the romance girlies like myself who watched that trailer and obsessed about this scene, I got to talk about that hotel scene real quick before I get out of here. Because, like, look, you're great actors. I love what Luca and what that script does for y'all. But that is some of the greatest, like, desire blocking that I have ever seen. Because it's like where he sits, where you sit, where she sits. Just break down what Luca was telling y'all that day, because I know, like, scenes like that are they're pivotal. It sets up so much of what happens later. And like, yes, we can all be thirsty about it on the internet, but it's also very deliberate. And so Zendaya, if you want to start with like where it was.
Well, we like, I guess, partially rehearsed it. You can't really rehearse that to a full extent, but we did rehearse. I think there's like a lot of dialogue that happens in the initial part, and just kind of also, again, talking about it and talking through it and making each other and make sure everyone was comfortable. but also I think we also knew that it's also incredibly funny, and we knew the payoff of the scene also. Like, you know, we knew what she was gonna do when we knew her intentions. And I think that what's really nice about that scene as well is that you get to see them in their youth. You get to see them when it's still fun, you know, and it's still, for lack of a better word, because you can say cheeky, you know what I mean? Like, they're still having a good time and there's still joy there. And I think life hasn't happened too much yet to them. Life hasn't been lifing, you know? But over time, we watch it kind of all this joy and the fun get sucked out of them, and it's not there anymore. So I really enjoy those scenes because of that, because you get to see them all together in a space where they're not trying to hurt each other, you know, and they're not jaded and angry and holding on to all this baggage. It's just like kids, you know. But yeah, I think Luca had a very clear understanding of that scene, and something Josh said earlier, which I forget about all the time, but just like, yeah, or was it you who said it? Anyway, it's a three of us, and that's all you see on camera, but it's also like 10 people crammed into a room who are a part of it, who are coming in, fixing our hair and getting the shot, and we have, you know, our camera, you know, operator right behind the camera, who's basically the fourth person in the scene, you know, so it's a whole team of people who are making this happen. And we just get to be the ones who, like, you see on camera, really.
Did you see the internet go nuts for it, though? Have you seen it? Like, what they've said about the scene?
No.
Like,
No.
You don't know about this?
No. Z's on the internet. But Josh and I are the
I
absolute
know.
worst.
Less. By the way, I know
I
you're
get sent things.
y'all are doing busy things, but yeah, there's a lot of thirsty TikToks about that particular moment.
Yeah.
So I
Thirsty
know y'all were
TikTok.
great, and I want you to
don't
get
have
all
TikTok.
the stuff for it. But yeah, they were like, this is a scene, and your face is the one that everyone like.
so good.
That's a good shot, though. That's
Yeah.
like a hero shot. Let's cue the music shot.
It was,
So-
and you know what's funny is I'm just looking in the camera because you guys have to split.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So I'm just like, and you guys are like,
Making out with the side of the camera.
yeah, literally.
It's so beautiful. The other thing I want to talk about, obviously, Luca, and just everything that he brings to one of these productions. I would say, he's so Italian, and like the direction that he gives and just the way that he talks to his actors, I find is so interesting. If you guys can sort of take us inside what it's like to be on one of his sets and what he sort of brings to it. I'd especially like to see it with you, since you have another one coming up with him very soon.
But Luca, yeah, I worked with him. Absolutely not. I worked with him before, actually, on a commercial, believe it or not, years ago, and yeah, Luca has like a really clear idea about character, and he also has a real understanding about the film more generally, and kind of, I think, because he's so involved in the edit and so involved in the look and feel of the film, the design of the film. He knows what he's doing from a very early stage, and I think that, I imagine he can be really dynamic in the way he works. For instance, on this, like, some days, particularly the Challenger match that runs through the film, felt so frenetic as an energy. You know, it was like they'd finish one take, and then Sayambu, the cinematographer, was setting up the next, and it felt like that energy that's in the film was in the process. So he's just brilliant, and you can see it in his work, and it's a privilege to work with him.
Yeah, and they're saying this is his best. I've heard that from a lot of people today, so you guys should be really proud. Thank you all so much. I want to remind everyone, you can pick up tickets for Challengers at Fandango today.